Here's a review of the 2019 NX 300 by Lexus. How's it aging, guys? I'll see you on the other side, and let's get into it. So here we are with the 2019 Lexus 300 NX. It's a good vehicle. It used to be one of my favorite Lexus vehicles. I used to like it more than the RX. But I'm starting to like the RX more for a lot more reasons. This is a great vehicle for what it is, but let's just get into the styling, which is my favorite part about this car. I think it's the best looking SUV for Lexus. So we got the spindle grille here. Now, this is a unique spindle grille. It has vertical panels as well as horizontal panels, so it's kind of a grid. I think it looks great. You have the LED running daylights here, which I still think look sharp. They look like big check marks. I'm okay with that. This one has the standard LED headlights. You can also get the triple beam LED headlights. You see the fog lights below. This particular car has park assist, so you see these little sensors here, one on each side. And then in some of the new vehicles, and I saw it for the first time, you can get this vehicle with the 360 panoramic camera, which is pretty rare to see. I do still love these wheels. These are the premium wheels that you usually see with the navigation package. And these are the 18-inch wheels. If you get the more of the base model, it will have the 17-inch wheels. And you just see the NX from the side. I think it's a gorgeous car. This Matador red mica paint color looks great, even though the car is a little bit dirty. The mud flap options are installed. I think the mud flaps make this car look even better. If we come around to the back, the exhaust coverings, exhaust tip, they're not really tips because they're more like housings to the exhaust. I think they look really good. They look really sharp. The back end of this vehicle looks good. The taillights have always looked amazing in the NX. And finishing on this side, it still looks great from every angle. Underneath the hood is the 2-liter turbocharged engine from Lexus. It's the very first turbocharged engine from Lexus in America. It produces 235 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It's a good motor for the vehicle. Yes, I do wish it had closer to 300 horsepower, and I'm sure we'll get something in the future, maybe a slightly modified version of this engine in the future to crank out a little bit more horsepower. And of course, it's mated to the 6-speed automatic transmission, which again, it does really well for this car. The shifts are a little slow for my liking, and I just noticed this, how aggressive these, the angle of these, or the shocks are. But yes, the 8-speed transmission I wish was in this vehicle, and it will be put in it. Getting on the inside of the 2019 Lexus NX 300. This particular interior is called the cream interior. It's kind of like a yellowish light white color. It's not my favorite. You can get this in red as well as the Rioja red as well as black. This here, it hasn't really changed over the years. Yeah, we didn't have these switches before 2018. In 2018, they did have that refresh. But everything else in here, like this pad's a little bit bigger after the 2018 refresh. And of course, we have the navigation pad here, which many people don't like. But I promise you, once you get used to it, it's not bad. And I'm not going to go through the menus here or anything like that. But just know that all your 2019s that are produced after October of 2018 are going to have Apple CarPlay. This one was not produced after that date, so it does not have the Apple CarPlay standard, but you will have that as an option pretty much in all your 2019s and after October of 2018. Steering wheel here, it's got to go. It's got to go. Yes, it looks, it's tiny, it's cute, it fits the car well, but this here is dated, and this here is dated as well. You know, we need to get the new ES and RC steering wheel on here. That would make this car feel much more premium, and get rid of the old cruise control stock. But there it is. The dials also make this car feel a little bit older. All of your modern vehicles are switching to, you know, the big digital display. And I'm sure there's a lot of diehard fans here that really like the old tachometer. I'll give it a little rev. Yeah, I love the traditional needle as well. But in the luxury segment, a lot of people want the newest gadgets and gizmos, and a nice LCD screen there in the middle would help. But the seats, let's just get into the seats. Yes, that's the color. They're very comfortable. In the F Sport model, they're a little bit more restrictive, and if you're a little bit chubby, they're probably not going to be comfortable for you. But let's just get into the materials. Soft touch here at the top with this nice stitching on the door all the way across. And then we have this nice, well, it's not nice, this plastic trim here. In the luxury build, you can get wood here. I'll put it on this side, you can see better because of the sunlight. Only the luxury builds are going to have wood here. And you have nice leather down here. This is leather as well, or at least a soft touch plastic, but it feels real premium. Plastic down here, of course, for durability, as you would expect in most vehicles. We have that same trim over the top. And as we look up, of course, these are your standard controls here. You know, your one-touch lights, and then your sunroof, of course. But that kind of sums up most of the interior. You have the makeup mirror, which is one of the strangest additions to this car, which unveils a secret little cubby down there. And then in the back here, you have a coin tray, and that's where you have your connection for your USBs as well as your 12 volt. There's also a small thing that kind of drives me nuts, that this car is a little behind the times. I don't mind that the heated steering wheel is over here, or that the auto high beams. Now the auto high beams on the newer, more updated vehicles are here. The heated steering wheel button is over here, probably with your heated seats. And that will be revised probably in 2021. But this right here, the blind spot monitor, drives me nuts because I don't know if it's on. Well, I do know that it's on because it's green, but most of our vehicles that have it, it'll say, like the RX, for example, it'll like light up green here and it'll say BSM. And I know without having to look down by my knee, and sometimes you can't really tell if this is illuminated, if it's really bright like it is right now, it's not the easiest to tell. So that's a small gripe of mine. For getting out of so many Lexuses, I can kind of nitpick on that because most of them have that sort of safety feature, at least a notification for it up there. Getting in the back here of the NX, I'm always super impressed with how much legroom you have in the NX. Yes, you have more in the RX, of course, it's a bigger vehicle, but I'm 6'1" and I never ever have any issues sitting back here. It's always very comfortable. These seats also recline, which is a huge pro. These just aren't as detailed as a lot of other Lexus headrests. They are very high quality, but just not quite as detailed. These seats though, standard Lexus quality, but definitely not their highest end form of seat. But it is very comfortable back here. The trim is very similar. So if you look up at the front at the door, you see that trim? Well, it continues back here and it looks good. And then it's the exact same piece. And I just noticed that. So you have that plastic piece there. They just took the same piece and duplicated it back here. And that's obviously a cheap manufacturing thing to do, but it looks good. And I like the continuity from the front and the back. I love the little speaker there. And of course you have the bigger speaker down the bottom. Now this has the navigation system, so it's gonna have the 10 speaker upgraded sound system as opposed to the 8 speaker. Down here you have a couple vents. You do not have any connectivity back here, and that's a big con for me. You see this in a few Lexus vehicles, and it's really unfortunate. I don't believe the RX has USBs, but well, I think maybe the RXL might have them now, but the normal RX doesn't have USBs down here. It's really unfortunate that this car doesn't either, and that's going to be totally fixed in the new one, because all the new Lexus vehicles that are coming out have 2 USB ports back there. So you see that in the ES as well as some of the other vehicles. Inside the hatch here, of course, you have this tonneau cover, which is removable, and it's kind of a hard material. It's not a soft material, it's fuzzy, but yes, it is removable. You have, of course, your normal mats, your all-weather mats are going to be in here. The NX has a good amount of storage. You can put a lot of stuff back here. I know it doesn't look like it because of the tonneau cover and the big box, but it is a good amount of storage, and it is a great feature of these crossover vehicles. If you look up here, this is gonna, if you press this, it'll shut and lock the entire vehicle. This will just close the hatch. And we're off in the 2019 Lexus NX 300. Of course, this one has all-wheel drive. Most of them do. You can save a little bit of money. If you live down in the south, you don't need the all-wheel drive. Just get the front-wheel drive, save $2 grand, and you're good. This particular car, I always forget how quiet it is. Yes, it's a Lexus. Yes, I do have high expectations for a nice quiet ride. But the only time you feel like this car could be quieter is when you rev it out a little bit. But they wanted to make this car a little bit sportier. So the RX also, when you rev that V6, it does get a little bit louder. But when you're in cruise mode in a Lexus, and this is no exception here in the NX, it's very, very calm, it's very quiet. This ride feel is different than the RX. So in the RX, it has a much longer wheelbase. I'll put the numbers up there in comparison to this car. This just feels like it's a much sportier vehicle. So if you've seen some of my other videos, the IS, for example, sedan by Lexus, and the GS are much sportier and how they feel when they're just driving straight, let alone in the corners, compared to the ES. The ES is more of the luxury vehicle. That's more, calm, quiet, reserved, luxurious. The NX is kind of the sporty variant of the RX, just a lot smaller. Let's get into the power real quick. It has good get up and go for what it is. It's not going to blow anybody's mind by any means. The 6-speed transmission, for my liking, is good enough. It might not be enough for, the current market though, however, because you have the RDX from Acura that just came out. That's got a lot more speeds in this car. And it also has a little, 40 more horsepower or something. So I'll put those numbers up there in comparison. So the NX is still doing really, really well in terms of sales. It's still the best in the segment. However, the Acura RDX is sportier than this vehicle. It's bigger than this vehicle. It has better technology. So what does this car have? Well, it's probably quieter. I'm not going to say it's more reliable because Acuras are pretty reliable, but they're both turbo 4-cylinder engines. They have a lot of similarities. The interior of this car is probably going to be a little bit, the materials might be a little bit better quality, but I haven't been in the Acura, so I can't really confirm that. Now that I'm up to speed, the vehicle does not have the visibility that I want. I mean, I could drive this car every day, but the visibility is not up to what I would want and if I was buying a $40,000 vehicle. But that's for me. So I'm 6'1", and this rear view mirror just takes up almost half of the windshield. I'm exaggerating a bit, but it takes up a huge chunk of my vision, and I'm not a big fan. So these NXs are beautiful vehicles, but they have a very aggressive windshield rake. It's, like this, and my visibility suffers as a result because of this. Rear view mirror is really, really taking up a lot of my eyesight. The side windows are also fairly small. You can see okay out of them. The blind spots are not good in this car, so make sure. Most of these NXs are going to have the blind spot monitor, but if you're getting one, it'll make up for itself over the years you have this car, because you have a pretty bad blind spot back there. Downshifted quick. The RX definitely feels like it has more power to it. Yes, it does have more power, but this is also a smaller vehicle. than the RX. And when I put the foot to the floor here, I mean, it doesn't go up that hill very fast. I was going uphill, I was still accelerating, but it didn't feel premium. I mean, it's smooth, but that power that you expect from a luxury vehicle, it's not in this. So, you know, if you've seen my 2019 review of the hybrid version of this car, so the 300H, that in my opinion is the way to go, just because this one isn't that quick to begin with. So you get 50% better fuel economy in town in the hybrid, and you get a slightly slower vehicle from already what feels to be not that quick of a vehicle to begin with. I'll put the 0 to 60 time up here for the two of them, but in real world application, the hybrid is quick enough for 99% of people who are looking for this vehicle. I'm going to do another acceleration run uphill here. I'm at 60 miles per hour, pedal to the floor. And there's 70. It gets there. Let me put that in sport mode and try it again, because those downshifts were old man dinosaur slow. Some of the slowest downshifts I've ever felt in a modern Lexus vehicle. So yes, when you're in sport mode, it does downshift a little bit quicker. It is noticeable, but not quick enough for my liking, and not quick enough for the expectations I have for Lexus vehicles. I got on the brakes there. They were pretty good. I wouldn't call it, they kind of felt like the RX in terms of brake feel, not nearly as smooth or polished as the brand new ES, for example, the redesigned ES, the 2019. That car has great brakes. So does the new RC. Well, RC's always had good brakes, being it is more of a sporty coupe. This, don't get me wrong, this car has great brakes, and it's more than what most people will need. I'll put maybe the stopping distance there, but it has good brakes. They're just, to me, this car, including the brakes, the transmission, the engine, they feel great, but compared to more modern Lexus vehicles, like the 2019, the brand new 2019 ES, the redesigned ES, this car needs to take a lot from that car. Yes, I know this is an SUV, and that is a sedan, but we really need to have some of those new parts that, you know, maybe the 8-speed transmission put in this vehicle to make it more, to feel premium, get better gas mileage, quicker downshifts. However, around the corners here, I'm not going to push this car very hard. This is not the F Sport model. It does not have the adaptive variable suspension. This car does not want to corner that well. Yes, it does feel kind of sporty in terms of the ride feel. The steering is very good, but you do get a good amount of body roll, as you would expect, being this car is crossover. Overall, the 2019 Lexus NX300, still an amazing looking vehicle. It handles well, it accelerates fairly decent. We do need a little bit more power, especially to keep up with the Acura RDX nowadays. This could have a little bit more gears as well. Going from a 6-speed to an 8-speed transmission would be great. We need a little bit more connectivity in the back seat, for example. We have nothing for the passengers. I still think this vehicle is one of the best looking Lexus vehicles. That's completely subjective, and it is still selling well for Lexus. We just need a few more updates to keep it relevant and very competitive in the luxury market. But also, you guys in the comments below, and until next time.